stuff like Tetsuo the Iron Man, which
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has ever seen Tetsuo the Iron Man. I wouldn't just ask anyone to go watch it. Unfortunately, it's because it's not even like that. It's an acquired taste. It like assaults you.
Yeah.
With these incredible symbolisms of like, I don't even know what you want to take from it.
Well, it's
like a body horror.
It's aggressively filmed, I would say, and aggressively edited.
If you liked Texas Chainsaw, the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'd be really into it because it has this really guerrilla, low budget, and interesting.
It's filmed on 16 millimeter.
Interesting techniques that they used throughout the film too. I guess it was
the soundtrack is, just
the soundtrack was great.
Is killer.
The soundtrack was great. But it has like a weird, even though like the ending, missed its punch a little bit, but I mean, it probably made more sense back when it came out, like in 89, 88, something like that, which is the high point for like these really interesting things that were coming out of Japan and Asia at the time, and their sensibilities were so different and alien to what anything we've seen, which is why anime has blown up the way that it's had. You know what I mean? It's because it's a fresh take on shit that they've never. They live on an island alone from the rest of the planet for the most part, so there's not a lot of people just going over there all the time. So they're pretty much isolated in their views and outlooks on shit. So it's been kind of protected over the years for the most part.
Yeah, it's very different.
There's a lot of shit that they're turning out just to get people from other countries to eat it up, which is like 90% of your shit from anime these days. Your trope-laden horse shit. You know what I mean? I fucking can't stand a lot of it. I keep trying to stay in it, but there's fucking bad shit happening in Japan and shit. There really,
is, yeah,
really fucked up things going on. But they don't do that on the surface. You meet somebody, they're super polite, but when they go home, they fucking fuck their dog or some crazy shit. You know what I mean? I don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of weird. If you watch Tetsuo the Iron Man, there's a lot of weird shit going on.
There's some weird, and that's what a lot of that movie was about. Was just
that's why I liked it, because that pulls the veil off of the shit we're seeing right now, and gets down to the ground level of where their inspirations are coming from for this shit anyway. And that's some of the media. I should pick up a Blu-ray of Tetsuo just to hold on.
That's a good one for a collection. Yeah,
you got to hold on to shit like that, because that. Outside of Shudder, which shout out to them, like I said again, and I'm not sponsored by anyone, but they're putting shit on that I would have never found out about in any other way, and it's due to somebody helping direct it to the screen. And Joe Bob was like, well, let's watch some, you want to see some really weird shit? He's like, check out fucking Tetsuo the Iron Man. And he breaks down all. Did you watch the one with Joe Bob, or did you watch like?
No, it was for free to rent on Amazon, so I just watched it off there. Just like no primer or nothing, just jumped in.
That's one you want a little warm up for, I think, before you get in, because watching it with Joe Bob he was like, he does the breakdown on what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
he lists like the most horrible shit in it, and I was like, I'm in. I was like, but if I had just been launched into it like you were, I probably would have felt fucking a little bit differently about. But he's like softens
the blow a
little bit, and then he gives you background on the picture itself. And I need shit like that in my life. I need somebody that will do that kind of digging and research, and help tell someone, because somebody gives a fuck out there. There are people that actually give a fuck about these details.
There's people behind these productions and everything, and that one was a very personal production for.
It was.
The guy almost ruined his life making it.
Yeah, it's. I could get that from it, because you wouldn't finish a project like that if you didn't.
Like he lost just about every friend he had making that.
It's
that movie,
and I'll take it just as a piece of art. No matter how I feel about it, that I felt like it was special when I watched it, and I love that fucking weird grindhouse stuff, like I was talking about earlier on. But it took him like 5 years to make it or something.
Well, it's such a handcrafted movie. That's the thing that impresses me. Is it feels very Evil Dead 2. Yeah, with the very homespun, home crafted. the effects. There's a lot of stop motion on there and
guerrilla
things.
filmmaking.
Guerrilla, yeah, just a lot of Dutch angle type stuff. The editing. I mean, and it's really like the guy didn't even want to release it by the end. He was so burnt out on it. He almost wanted to just burn all the film and just be done with it. But I think it was that the final edit just came together with the music and everything. And it's really solid in that way.
Yeah, I mean, take from it what you will, because you had different opinions about it. Than I did.
I had a kind of a strong reaction to the ending because I felt like it kind of lost its themes by the end.
Yeah, I felt like that was definitely the final push to put that in, because it has that.
It had to end somehow.
It's
but it felt very. It went from something very almost Twilight Zone-y with the hubris of the characters catching up to themselves and things was mainly a lot of what the drive behind all of the stuff going on. Everything is explained so well. Weirdly enough, it's a movie where a lot of weird stuff happens.
Yeah,
but
got that.
It all has an explanation, and the explanation is given to you in a natural way throughout the movie.
And even without it being handed to you and explained in a context where they're talking about it,
right?
You can get, and most people don't get that kind of shit. So I was picking up on it, and I was bopping, watching the movie, and I was like, okay, I'm following what he's doing. And then you cut to. That's why it was nice to watch it with Joe Bob, because he's like, I don't know. I don't fucking know what's going on.
I'll tell you what I'm seeing here.
I'll tell you exactly what I just saw, but what it fucking means, I don't know.
Right.
And he's like, and that's okay. We're here to watch a weird fucking
wild ass movie, yeah.
And take from it what you will. But that guy made 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
And Tarantino was going to produce the last one.
Yeah.
And the deal fell through. But you'll have to watch it with Joe Bob and have him explain some of the shit with it, because he gives you history on the film and how it came to be, why it was made, and it really helps understanding of what the thing is in its entirety.
Yeah.
And so when you watch it, the fucking freak show of it all, because it's this surrealist, acid burned. There's a lot of introspective viewing in the character's mind with the demon inside of him that it comes out later that he ends up having to fight with, which is the main director, which is that guy living inside the robot thing. It all made sense under the context of understanding how the movie came to be.
Yeah.
And that helps explain so much more. And it meant so much more to me when I watched it, because he's framing it for you. So not only are you, because normally you'd be like, oh, you got to watch this fucking weird movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the fuck, I can't really explain it to you. But he's put it on a pillow and fucking handed it to you. And it's like, this is, somebody fucking cared about this. This is why he made it. This is what he fucking went through to make it. And it was just a passion project with his friend who was a singer in a punk rock band or whatever. They're pretty big over there as far as Japan cinema goes.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the fucking ones that made it through. How it made it over here, I have no idea. It's amazing.
I think it mainly got released through the film festival circuit. So I got a feeling it made its way through that.
Yeah, there's veins that port this stuff through, because I mean that would have nobody would have paid. Anybody with money that is paying to have movies moved over would have never backed.
No, and it's very much in that kind of late 80s, early 90s punk rock nihilistic aesthetic. Your heavy metals, your
Japanese cyberpunk.
Well, even Japanese cyberpunk. Though that was one thing I never really got from it. Was the cyberpunk aspect of it. I could understand kind of the industrial horror aspect of it and the body horror aspect of it. But
I think that's just what sparked the imaginations of other people's doing that.
Right.
Because the idea of this bizarre metal inserting fetish. So it's a weird movie if you guys haven't seen it. It's like a fetish of people who want to insert objects into their body and not like in their ass or whatever. They want to put...
They want to make metal objects a part of their body.
And it's part of some kind of psychosis that they... or interest.
I don't think this counts as like any kind... Because it's the first like sort of shock sequence that you get in the movie is of this character... cutting open a hole in his leg to insert a
steel rod
into his leg, and then unwrapping the bandage later and finding out that it's festered over and maggoted up, and it's your first like initial just sort of this is what you're in for.
That's the inciting event to the movie. Yeah, that's your lead into.
But it's a great little sort of independent film effects scene.
Yeah, the effects really drove it home for me because they made all these cool additions to his body as he morphs. I really loved all the hard work that went into putting these projects together of something that like you can tell it's handmade, which I really liked.
Yeah,
for one, which adds a credit to the film itself and the whole style of it. But it seems so well thought out. Even the little weird pieces and how everything was placed was specifically plotted out on how he wanted it to be done. Even his like weird robot dick, which he kills his wife with. It's a great movie. I don't know. We'll leave it with that.
We'll leave you with that little description.
We'll stop the podcast there. If you haven't seen it, it's available on Shudder through The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs.
Yep.
But you can watch it for free on Amazon?
Yeah, well, they had a free rental on Amazon.
Oh, right on.
When I watched it, so
you're just able to click it and add your credit to it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, if you can pick it up through anything like that, it's at least worth watching. There's two other movies
that came out afterwards, yeah, that
I want to check out that go with it. That I don't know how they're going to continue. The story.
Seems it's kind of almost like from the way I've seen, it's almost like the Mad Max series, where they're not really direct sequels or anything, but it's more of like a revisiting of the themes and of these character types.
I could see that. Whatever he's going through in his life, and he revisiting his original inspiration for the first one and reimagining it in another way. I can see that, and I'm interested in.
Here they have a little bit more of a softer edge, like so in the first one, there's no good guy at all in the story. Right. It's really just a bunch of rotten people whose hubris is catching up to them.
Right.
Apparently, like he doesn't really go back to that kind of those kinds of themes in the sequels.
Like I'm saying, he probably changed as a person.
Yeah.
And he was going through turmoil as he was making that film, which is reflected in the finished product.
Yeah.
And I want to see the revisiting of that concept as he's traveled forward in life, and maybe he is in a better place when he revisited them.
Right.
And so the aesthetic is going to change dramatically. And that's what interests me in this type of film anyway, is because the fact that he wanted to come back and revisit it with new eyes and new things that he's learned about himself as he makes it, is really interesting to me, that he would come back to, I don't know many people that would return to a concept to redo it.
Yeah. Well, it's also somewhat of a theme in independent genre filmmaking, because you had Sam Raimi kept revisiting Evil Dead. Basically did Evil Dead 2, which was not really a sequel, more of just like a revisiting of what he did with the first film. Yeah, and just better production values and everything, better techniques. And the same thing with the Mad Max movies, where it's just like, well, let's come back and let's just do sort of a different spin on the themes that I did in the first one.
Yeah, with this, I mean, and the budget with the backing helps too, because I mean, you get the Road Warrior, and then you get into Mad Max, and it's like they feel the essence is the same, like you're talking about, but it's like two completely different films.
Yeah,
as far as the way that they're shot and how the apocalypse feels, and that sets the theme for the timeline for sure. As far as like feeling like this goes on forever and ever and ever, and this is eternity for these characters in this existence. But with the the Metal Man, I don't know what else he could do with it. That's what I want to find out. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck
He
idea
went
he
with-
has
yeah.
to go in with it, because it's such a fucking cowboy film. You know what I mean? It's so punk rock to just make something so disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clearly disturbing to a lot. Like, no normal person could just watch this and be like, that was amazing. 'Cause most people will watch this and be like, fuck, what's going on?
Yeah, what
I
was
mean?
that?
Why is he fucking drilling her with his dick? Like, she's dead and she's not dead. And I'm not going to spoiler alert. That's as far as I'm going to go. But we'll stop there and we'll come back and maybe revisit it. I'll try to get a hold of the second one.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that from there on.